we've had many viewers ask us to show them our garden. And I'm going to tell you that in looking at the garden on its surface, you see how everything is really, really healthy. Except there is a problem. You see this soil here. We've always said that soil matters, and it really does, and there's a reason for that. So as I walk around, I'm going to show you something. Believe it or not, we started this garden the day after Mother's Day, because in our region, we're in 6A. I think they now consider it 6B. I think they just changed the zone map this year. We can't grow anything until then because of the last day of frost. This is the same thing. We planted all of this the day after Mother's Day. And as you can see, we hardly have any growth. By now, these should be much bigger than what they are. Now, these are a couple pepper plants that we have. They're not as big as they should be. And we have made these buckets where we have a reservoir of water that the plant will take up through the soil. And we don't have to worry about it running out of water, especially during these dry, hot days that we've been having lately. This is our asparagus. You see the asparagus is doing really well over here. I'm going to get back to the soil thing. Over here, we have 3 tomato plants. Look absolutely terrible. These were growing in those same buckets that I just showed you. We transplanted them over here, again, because we were having problems getting these things to grow in the buckets that we had. The buckets are not the problem. We've determined that the soil that we use to grow them in is the problem. Now, the asparagus over here is doing really well because that is an entirely different type of soil. So we figured when we transferred the tomatoes over here that they will get the nutrients that they need from the soil and start growing. Now they are doing much better, but they're not where they should have been, given the fact that we are now into June, towards the end of June. I think today's June 20, it might be the 26th, I'm not sure. I'd have to look at my calendar. Of course, this is just a little flower garden that we have in honor of Yvonne's mama that is no longer here. I hand carved that sign for her, and she wanted to have a little flower garden for her mom. We have to still plant those back boxes back there. You see it's really a bunch of leaves, weeds, and some maple saplings that are trying to grow. Maple, oak, I think they're oak. Our goji berry plant or bush is doing great. That is in a different soil. Same soil we have in the raised beds. So you can see this is doing quite well. We're starting to get the blooms. I don't know if my camera's picking it up or not. And so we're going to get over to the bean patch here. That is Bella. Bella, what you doing, girlie? And we have Abby out here too, just so you know. Come here, Abigail. What are you doing, baby girl? Say hello to everybody. Yes, she's my special girl. All of our girls are special, but her in particular, she tried to be camera shy now. She was a rescue, and she ended up detecting my breast cancer. And so we now call her Queen Abby. In any case, here's our bean patch. You can see how healthy this bean patch is. Again, the beans are in a different type of soil. The powder that you see is a diatomaceous earth. We did have an issue with some insects. And what's really strange, we have several different types of beans Yet the insects seem to be attacking this one large dark colored bean, and unfortunately we tagged everything so we knew what they were, but guess what? The sun bleached it out, so now we can't read what type it was. I think we have some rattlesnake beans in here, what they call rattlesnake. We have some white half runners. There's also bush beans in here. So where I'm going with this is the soil matters. This is just a hodgepodge of some mint and some strawberries. We need to transfer those strawberries into another area. But when I realized we had a problem with some soil, I did not transfer them, not until I resolved the issue of the soil. This is our blackberry and boysenberries. We have sunflower growing. I even have a small, and I don't know if you can see it here, Kajori melon plant, which by now we was hoping we'd be doing better than what it is. Had an issue with insects trying to get to it. But as you can see, our garden is not where it should be. Now, in all fairness, I can't blame everything on the soil, because right after Mother's Day, we had probably a couple of weeks with rain, and more rain. There was just too much rain, too much water. We're trying to train these cucumbers to grow up over our cattle panel. There was just too much. So I think that was part of the problem. We don't have an issue with insects because I've stayed on top of that using diatomaceous earth and things of that nature. Yeah, those runners are starting to reach. There's something trying to eat on that sunflower. These are a different type of sunflower. I planted them at a different period of time. That's why these are so big. Whoops, sorry. That's my chime. I probably shouldn't have hung there. So this bed, we got some new soil this year, and we probably put down 3 inches of it. Underneath that is our regular good organic / compost soil that we have. I think that the reason these sunflowers are now starting to do better is because they've hit that level, that layer of what I call the good soil, versus this stuff that you see on top. It looks great, doesn't it? But it's just void of any nutrients. Now, I've been told that a lot of the companies that put their soil blends together are not letting the soil, like the compost and things, mature quite as long as they should in an effort to hurry up and get it to go to market. As a result, that soil still needs to break down so that the plants can take up the nutrients more easier. Here, we got some runners here. I'm going to come out here. We've got some beans that are ready to pick. So there's that issue. They're trying to hurry up and get the soil out in the market, and they're not letting it sit and mature and break down quite as they should be. So there's that dilemma. Now, here's the other mistake I made. And we show the good and the bad here. So we do not claim to be experts by any means on anything that we're doing, but we try. It's a learning process, as we go. I bought this. It is organic, all natural garden soil. It says it can be used for flowers and vegetables. I'll show you this bag instead. Looks all great, right? Really good stuff. So we thought. Here's what I didn't see. I'm going to show you this just so you can learn. Sorry, I'm doing this one-handed. Okay. You notice this right here? This is for in-ground planting only. Well, I missed it. Didn't see it. So when we initially started all of our plants for the garden this season, our seeds, we used that soil in those buckets over there that you see. And we found out that this soil here compacts down in the bucket. So the root systems struggle with trying to establish themselves. Hold on a minute. Bella, come on. She likes to get back here and get after the baby birds. Go on. Go. Come on. Let's go. You know you ain't allowed back here. Come on. So that was the mistake we made this season. And I tell you this because we don't want you guys to make the same mistake. We bought that soil because, unfortunately, like most of us, we're on a budget. And we just didn't have the money to buy the real good stuff. We did want to make sure that it was organic, because everything that we do in the garden, we try to follow the organic principles. And I thought I was saving us money, and I did as far as soil goes. But I lost it in production because nothing wants to grow in it. We use that same soil here. So I don't know what it is about this soil. So from doing our research, there are people that think that this particular blend maybe did not have the opportunity to break down quite as much as it should have. It looks more like a fine mulch versus soil. That's part of the problem. And then, of course, the other part of the problem was it was not to be used in these buckets. Same thing. Our cloth bags over here, it was not supposed to be used in this. Now, this stuff you're seeing here, this is just mulch that I put over the soil when I planted the zucchini to help hold the moisture in. And another tip, we use these tubs. We got them in the garden section at Home Depot. It's where the supplies are when you're putting ponds together. Excuse me. And we drilled a hole, maybe a couple inches from the bottom. See that hole there? So that we can fill these with water and water them from the bottom once the plant is established. We water them from the top right now, but once they get going, then we can start filling the reservoir. Here's a tip though. Get you some gravel and put some gravel in here. And that way it's going to keep the mosquitoes from trying to produce. Because that's what we're running into. The water is sitting and now we're getting mosquitoes that are trying to do their thing. So I'm going to come back and put gravel in all of these up past the water level where that hole is, just to keep the mosquitoes from trying to breed. Because the last thing we need is a backyard full of mosquitoes. So that's the deal on that soil. Everything looks great, but it took forever for anything to get to this point. And it's because of that soil, I'm pretty sure, in combination with all of the rain that we initially had in May. And now, it's hot as heck, temperatures of almost 100. We generally don't get that hot here in outside Cincinnati, but it's been incredibly warm the last few days. So there's that. Now here's that same soil. Believe it or not, I planted these. This is, in fact, a perfect example. These plants were planted in April, the end of March, beginning of April. Look at them. Now, this is towards the end of June, that those plants should be way bigger than what they are. They're not. So that is a soil problem. I think that soil is just void of the nutrients that these plants need to grow. And I left them like this on purpose. We will be transplanting them into some good soil. I will be replacing all the soil in these buckets. And then we will transplant these into them, and they should do much better. But this is a perfect example. I wanted to see if these would start growing. And these are, like I said, they were planted the end of March, beginning of April, thereabouts, indoors, and in the soil, and even under special lights and grow mats, that heat the soil up to where they need to be. This is as big as they are. Over 2 months old, and this is it. Stunted growth. So pay attention to the soil that you're using, because it does matter. Sorry, I got my shadow in that picture. Just terrible. Normally we have a bounty full of tomatoes every year. In fact, last year we were so successful with tomatoes that we were probably providing a minimum of seven different families with tomatoes nonstop. Well, that's certainly not going to be the case this year. So we are incredibly disappointed in what's happened here. See, same soil. These were planted at the same time. Look, is that not ridiculous or what? So I wanted you guys to see this. Like I said, we are not experts. We do a lot of studying, and when I run into a problem in the garden, I start doing my research, and then we try to share that with the videos that we put out. But you needed to see that in this case, we do believe the culprit was this soil. So make sure that you read your bags and that you have the correct soil for wherever you're planning on using it. So that's the deal there. We got some pretty blooms coming out and a wasp that is bugging me. So on that note, woo, you hear it? You guys got to be able to hear that. He's buzzing around my head. I just wanted you to see what we're struggling with. That as long as we've done this for, and as successful as we've been, we too still have problems in our garden. So not to fret. We will do what we can to rectify the problem. And, you know, that's all you can do is try. Those are our plum trees, which was really weird. We did not get any plums this year. They started to set fruit, and we had all that rain and lost all of our fruit. Cherry tree over there, she's starting to drop her leaves this time of year. And again, it's only, you know, towards the end of June, so that's kind of weird. And I will take you around and show you our peach tree. Our peach tree is only producing fruit every other year. Here's our peach tree. And I'm going up the stairs. Whew. So you can see we got peaches. But even those peaches, they should be ready to go right now. They're starting to turn. But you know, our peach tree's struggling too. So, isn't that weird? That everything seems to be struggling this year. Now, I will tell you, they've been doing a lot of chemtrail spraying above our house here. Our skies have been loaded with it. I can't help but think, and if you don't know about the chemtrails, do some research. They spray a chemical in the air that's supposed to help manipulate the weather. I think it's also manipulating everything else. Manipulating, I have a problem with that word. Our garden's also being affected by that as well, and we're not the only ones that feel that way. There's lots of people saying that they're having a horrible time growing anything, and I can't help but feel that there has to be something to that. They're messing with the weather, and unfortunately, the chemicals that they're spraying in the air, they say is harmless. I'm not buying for 1 minute. It's starting to affect our trees. Now those trees look relatively healthy, but they are not as full as they used to be. Some of them, you see the neighbor's trees up there, they are not as healthy as they were, and so I can't help but think that our environment is being affected by what they're doing in our skies above us. So, you know, I don't know. People trying to grow food to help offset the cost of groceries. It just seems weird to me that everybody's struggling to grow their own food. So, you know, in this case, I really do think our soil is an issue. We have done what we can to add nutrients to the soil in hopes that the plants take them up. I can't wait for these sunflowers. But it's a struggle. So I'm not so sure that the soil is the only problem in our environment. But this time of year, we had a bunch of radishes and onions, all sorts of stuff growing here. Look, nothing. And that's that soil that we put on top of our good soil. And I think what's happening here is these are doing so well now over the last couple of weeks. They were nothing. They were like the zucchini that we showed you earlier. It's reached the good soil below it, and I think that's why now that they're starting to flourish. So that's the deal, but we wanted to share this information with you in case anybody else is also experiencing a similar situation. So we hope you all have a great day. Stay cool, and God bless.